G'day viewers, Peter here, how they hanging? It's a bit of a wild weather out there, so I'm inside the shed today and got most of the doors closed. I'm gonna fuck around with the decompressor valve today on the Victa horizontal shaft, the one from the rotary hoe that I acquired that was garden art. So it was out in the rain for a number of years, I don't know how long, but I've resurrected it and it's actually going to be a good motor. So I've not done this before, so I'll tell you what I think about what's going on. So this is a motor that you might remember. So it's the 125 and it's the orange one from the rotary hoe. And then that one there, that's the 160 from the Victa vac. And that one's got a plastic carby and a 3/4 shaft, and this one's got a 5/8 shaft. But anyway, we're inside the shed today, and I have got a decompressor and a little kit. Now, as you know, I buy everything with my own money. I'm never going to make any money out of YouTube. I just do this stuff for fun, and if I remember, I turn the camera on. So this little kit, which consists of, it comes with two diaphragms, which are made out of a rubbery material. I'm not sure what the material is, it's white, but there's two different sizes, so there must be a small and a large decompressor valve. I don't know, I think mine's a big one, so I've never seen the small one. Perhaps it's a later model, I don't know. And it comes with the small spring and the circlip, and I think I call them a Jesus clip. Well, my dad used to call them Jesus clips, and I think because whenever you remove them, they usually flick across the room and you never see them again. So it comes with the small spring for the stem, a little Jesus clip, the bigger spring that goes on the other side, and 3 of these clips, and you get this piece of foam, which I think really is a spring, and it all comes in this little bag. And I noticed that it says made in Australia, so I suppose Victa's Australian and they no longer make the lawnmowers here anymore, so someone's gone to making up these little kits. And I bought this from Push Mower Repairs in Montrose, and I paid $13. He gave me a little bit of a discount because I bought 3 of them, as you can see. But I mean, I bought these with my own money, so I'm going to tell you what I think in an honest fashion. So I've not done this before. So basically all of this goes in here, and it should be a fairly simple device. I don't usually do how-to videos, and this isn't really a how-to because my plan is, because I don't do editing, I mean, I don't really make content and I don't really do editing, but my plan is to turn the camera off every now and then, and I'll end up with about 4 short videos, and I've got some software that can stitch them all together to make one longer video, because I can't be fucked sitting at the bench. I mean, I try to help you cunts out, but I'm not going to fuck up my life. I just do what I do in the shed, and I assume that anyone that's watching a video of mine has a reasonable set of skills. If you need a how-to video, a step-by-step and being spoon-fed, seriously, go watch some other cunt's channel, because I'm not interested in that shit. You need to have some brains, or else you just can't do anything. So I'll put you in a little bit of a holder, so I'm not sure how this is going to go. Okay, so I've got it apart. Now the first thing to say is I took this out in the daylight. This is the old diaphragm. As you can see, the old one's black and the new one is white. The old one feels a bit more supple, but I took it out in the daylight and I stretched it, and I could not see any pinholes, and I saw no cracks around the edge where it may be leaking, because this is the whole gasket. This is the diaphragm and the gasket between the 2 cans. So I actually can't see that this is leaking, but I mean, the evidence before us, perhaps those clips lost their tension, or perhaps the material shrunk a little bit and it was leaking air through the gap. So I might actually keep this. I might keep all the components. So I'm going to put in the new diaphragm. Now I checked the old valve. It actually looks very much, I don't know what you can see, looks very much like a tiny inlet valve, doesn't it? And it's a decent piece of steel. And can you see how it's machined? It's actually a pretty nice bit of gear, really. So there's no cracks. There's a nice 45-degree surface there, just like a valve. And then this is the other component. I took this out in the daylight. And there's a little bit of grunge, because it was out in the weather, I think, down in here. So I cleaned it out with a pipe cleaner. Pipe cleaners are very difficult to find in Australia now. I had to go to a tobacconist shop and they had to order them in. There's not many smokers in Australia, and there's even fewer pipe smokers. So getting a pipe cleaner, but I use them a bit. I like them. The other thing I noticed, I got those 3 clips off, easy enough. If you couldn't do that, you shouldn't be trying to repair anything, really. Now this, as you can see, this is just the top cap, and there's this hose. Now the reason I've left this hose on, if you look, there's a brass screw through here, and it comes out the other side, and I don't know if you can see, it's actually interfering with this piece of, looks like PEX hose or something. Now if I try and pull that off, I'm either going to break the hose or break the fitting. So I'm happy to leave that there. And yeah, so I might run a pipe cleaner up it. So I'm happy to do that. Now I'm not a hand-fisted sort of person, but getting the little Jesus clip off the end of the shaft, I did damage a spring. So I'll be replacing both the springs, but I might keep the old ones in a bag. All right, well, I'll start to put this together, and I'll keep you informed. Okay, now I had to do some stuff off camera because I'm trying to help you bastards out. As you can see, I've got it together. The reason I went off camera, oh, can I show you? Is, I'll take you out of the holder. The reason I went off camera was because I had to pull this motor apart because the inlet manifold down here, there's a hose that goes up to the decompressor, and that had to be clocked at about 7 o'clock position. And with the covers on the motor, I didn't know exactly where that was. Now this plastic part is free to spin on that, but I figured that was a good seal. It's been together for 60 years, and I didn't really want to disturb that. So I thought it was better to, when I assembled these 2 cans together, just clock this in the correct position. So I screwed this onto the motor, and then I clocked this wherever the threads ran out, and it sort of comes in that position like that. So I wanted to do that rather than disturb all of this. And like I said, I got that little screw coming through there, so I didn't want to upset that. So hence I'm still working on that. So I got it all together. Now when you buy the kit, it comes with 3 clips, because when I first put it together, if I sucked on it, it would slowly leak back. And even now I've put 6 clips on instead of 3, because I thought, why not? They're there, why not use them? And if I suck on it, it's still it still comes back. And if I use my gauge, it actually, if you can see that, it doesn't, it pulls the valve down, but it doesn't actually hold a vacuum reading. And then the valve does slowly open. There it goes. But I'm sure that that's enough to get the engine running. I'll put it this way: if I depress this now and hold the end, I don't know what you can see, it does actually stay closed, and it didn't used to do that. So yeah, so that seems to be working. So I put that together, but I used 6 clips instead of 3, and I didn't change the indexing of this position, which meant I had to install it on the motor. Now I'm going to bag up the spare springs and clips and things, and I'll put them in, because I question that there was a real problem with that diaphragm. I think it's simply the sealing around here, because I couldn't see any tears in the diaphragm. So that might come into use and be used again one day. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Okay, viewers. Now this is the little blanking off plug. So it's, as you can see, it's just a rubber. It's just a rubber plug. And so what I had to do was, when I used the spark plug up here to fill in the hole, and I removed the decompressor valve, meant this inlet manifold was open to the ambient air. So I blocked it off with a little blanking plug that I've just got a bit of a supply for. And I think you've heard this engine run. So now I've fitted the decompressor valve, and if I can just with one hand, see how easy that is to spin, because there's essentially no compression. And then once this vacuum, if it fires, and this vacuum just gets to a certain level, it pulls that decompressor in, and the mower runs as per normal. So if I hooked some fuel up to this would go now. I'm absolutely convinced that I've fixed it. So my review of this little kit, excellent. It's made in Australia, so you're giving some bastard a job. And although I haven't started it, I'm absolutely confident if I put some fuel on that mower, it would start. And I suppose just a little aside, talking about it made in Australia, this was some gear I got from my dad's shed after he passed. And I saw this little Champion CJ8. As you can see, I've opened it because I tested something. But if I look on the back, if you can read, what does it say? It's got all your blah blah, but made in Australia by Champion Spark Plug Company Limited Australia. And they must have been owned by Coopers at some point. So if we turn that one upside down, and if we look in Dad's box of other stuff, he must have bought this at a hardware store or something. Now these two, they're not identical, but they're very similar. And if I turn this unopened one upside down, if you read down the bottom here, it's made in China by Federal Mogul, distributed in Australia by Moto Specs. So at some point we changed, but that was in Dad's little box of gear. And so we did used to manufacture in Australia, and I would bet my bottom dollar the Australian one is better than the Chinese one, but that's my political statement for today. But this mower will go. If I hook petrol up to it and pull the string, it'll go. So I might do that for you one day, but not in the near future. I'm off to Flinders Ranges for 3 weeks. So I've always wanted to go to Wilpena Pound, never been in my life, but we're going to spend 3 weeks in the desert. So the car's all hooked up and ready to go, and I've got all my safety and survival gear and recovery gear. So we're off into the desert for 3 weeks. So hopefully I come back. So I'll say uru.